Good morning, folks. I see we have people popping in here left and right. We'll give them a couple of more minutes. Can everybody see my screen?
I'm going to say yes to that. Everyone else is muted at this point, so I'm going to confirm that your screen looks great.
All right. Thank you, Michael. So this morning we are pleased to have Michael Marson from DynamicPoint. He's going to talk us through how portals, shall I say, benefit your organization and continue on to something that we here at MBS Partners try to do, and that is tie the link. And we'll get into a little bit more what I mean by that here in a few minutes. I'm going to give them another minute or two. I see we got a couple more starting to pop in, and we'll give another full minute here. We'll see how many come in. I hope everybody's got plans for the holiday weekend. Safe plans, I hope, and everybody is healthy. And I wish that all of your employees and family and friends are doing well, given the COVID situation that we've all faced here in America and still roaring in other parts of the world, obviously. But I'm glad to see that we are on a mend. And so with that, I think I'm going to continue on and get into the theme of today. So my name is Richard Novia. I'm the EVP of MBS Partners, the Best Solution. And who are we? Well, we are an organization that has been in business for over 30 years. It's been our pleasure to honor many customers such as you. We definitely pride ourselves on the ability to bring, share, and implement state-of-the-art technologies through ERP, CRM, and cloud services. We have 11 offices throughout the country, all of which do support Microsoft Dynamics, as well as other products for ERP and CRM, which has been something we've added here in the past 3 or 4 years, in-house, I should say, and we've always done it for about 7. So with that, let me show you where we are all located. And here's all of the offices that we have along the eastern seaboard and the western, and we have one gentleman out in Westerville, Ohio. I think all of the rest of us are afraid of tornadoes in the Midwest, but he says he just watches them go by. So in relationship, back to the theme of today, is this what your AR/AP office looks like and information? Many times when we go into a client, it's not quite this bad. I just kind of over dramatized the event here when I saw that, because I remember days that was actually the case for a lot of us. Dating myself here a little bit. So here's the issue. What is our goal? Our goal is to do these 6 main things. One is give employees satisfaction, which helps with employee retention. Improve their productivity. Give better service to everyone, customers, your employees, as well as your vendors and other affiliated partners, with a primary goal of handling and providing customer satisfaction. That has to be our number one goal, because without our customers, well, guess what? Business doesn't move very fast, does it? And the second degree to that is really, really important is maintaining customer loyalty. Nothing serves a customer better than when they pick up the phone and they call in, the answering person knows exactly who they are, where they're located, what their telephone number is, what sort of issues they've had in the past, and how many things that we as an organization may have worked out with them on. And that comes from having true integrated benefits. And last but not least, we all like to have some profit coming our way. And that is one of the main goals for all of us in business, is to have profits, to serve our clients, to serve our employees, to serve our vendors, and have a harmonious relationship with everybody. So obviously, the thing that we have been doing very well with is the integration between CRM and ERPs. And now we're going to take it to the next level, and that is to be able to facilitate communication through portals to help you facilitate smooth integration of data, saving you time and money, and putting transactions moving in a path that helps them get from A to Z in a much better pathway. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael. And Michael, if you would take the screen, and that's the last slide for me. Oh, and folks, if you have any questions at all, please dump them in the chat. And if time allows us to do so today, we will try and get them all answered on the webinar. If not, we will cover them in an email directly back to you personally. And there'll be a way to link up with us at the end of the call, which we'll also send a copy of this recording. And have you been recording it, Michael?
Yep, recording started, okay. So we are good.
Very good. So we'll send you all out a recording for those of you who have set the time aside and been with us here this morning. So, Michael, I shall now turn the baton officially over to you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the introduction, and obviously thank you to you and MBS Partners for hosting our webinar today. For today, we are going to be looking at self-service portals, and these are specifically Office 365 based self-service portals is what we want to focus on today. Just a brief introduction of who DynamicPoint is and what it is that we do. DynamicPoint is a little unique in the marketplace in that we create apps on top of the Office 365 environment. And we've been in business for several years, since 2009. And Office 365, of course, is not. It's fairly new in the marketplace, even though it's grown quite rapidly over the last several years. But we have converted ourselves, or rebirthed ourselves, I guess is a better way, from being a SharePoint development company to an Office 365 app development company following this new architecture provided by Microsoft. So that is who we are. As far as our application lineup, we have an invoice automation as well as an expense management product. Those are just more FYI. Our focus today is on our portal application. And the goal of this application is to enable a customer, vendor, and employee portal using an Office 365 SharePoint site. And Microsoft with Office 365 has promoted and enabled the collaboration with outside parties, specifically customers and vendors, and they do so by introducing a concept of an external user that is free of charge, right? So by bringing other people into my Office 365 ecosystem, it's not costing me licenses or anything like that. And I get to use all this functionality that Office 365 provides and share information with them. And what DynamicPoint has specifically done is created an app that enables the sharing of data coming from your ERP or CRM system to this portal. So you're already taking this platform that is already built for collaboration, and we are providing an app such that you could hook up to the data that resides within your ERP or CRM system and include that in the portal as well. What are some of the objectives? Why would I do this? It really depends on who the audience is. From a customer side, I can manage, share my company information. Maybe I want to share contracts and sales orders and things of that with my customers. Maybe I want them to enter new orders, maybe give them insight into my inventory, payment processing, such things as a help desk, creating service cases, etc. One thing to note, these customers are generally speaking a B2B customer. This portal is not intended to be an e-commerce site. It is much more intended to be there for collaboration. And that is typically geared to more of a business-to-business type relationship, not a e-commerce, Amazon type experience. If I take the same application and I configure it for vendors, it's the same type of information, but it's the flip of that. Maybe I want my vendors to confirm purchase order, review terms and conditions, manage RFPs. Maybe I want them to confirm shipments and put in shipping details into their POs such that all of that data flows directly to my ERP application. And on the employee portal, of course, that's going to be more internally facing, and that can include such things as handbooks, time entry, project management, insight into the operations, such as manufacturing orders and things like that I want to share with my employees, but they're of course not going to be an ERP user, so I want to give them a window into that data. So those are some of the reasons why we would do this. Now, Office 365 gives us a really robust platform for building these portals and gives us, a fair amount, endless may be a little bit too dramatic, but a fair amount of functionality that gives me the capability to configure these portals based on my specific use case. And what I mean by that, to give a little context to that, is, Office 365 comes with SharePoint. SharePoint is already a content management system. I could brand these pages, I could include documents, and it really provides a framework for creating a portal. It's natively a portal. Adding our app to that picture gives, again, that integration with ERP and CRM data. Maybe I want things in the portal to include workflow. So if someone takes a given action, or a contract needs renewal, or a vendor needs onboarding, I could take actions in the portal that trigger workflows and business automation. Maybe I want to provide these customers with a mobile app. Maybe I want to gather additional details using Microsoft Forms, or maybe I want to present KPIs and analytics using Power BI. All of these things over here are generally included with your subscription, so these are not add-ons or anything like that, and they are all tools that you already own, and we're just leveraging those and adding ourselves to the picture to complete the platform for a portal. How the portal works, again, we're really starting with the ERP data or CRM. We're not replicating it, we're providing a window into that. So the portal is based on, again, SharePoint being the front end. Our app is added. I can now connect to this information. Depending on this audience, if it's a customer or a vendor, I could begin sharing different data or an employee. So the road of portals, if you will. Portals, generally speaking, customers come to us because they're tired of sending emails or having, to distribute things like reports or POs or invoices, and they want people to go to a given location that is secure, where these partners, customers, or vendors could share this data in a real-time fashion. So in a very elementary standpoint, it's answering the, I'm tired of sending this out manually and people want self-service. As we start moving upstream, and I could show you examples of this, we could apply workflow and use business automation to use the portal not only for sharing data, but for automating entire business processes. And I'll give us a couple quick examples of that today. Quick agenda, and we are going to go through this quite fast because we do have a limited amount of time today, but we are going to look quick first at a customer portal. And that's going to be focused on sharing orders and invoices and doing order entry. We are going to shift gears and look at a vendor portal where I could share POs and things like that with my vendor and confirm shipping details. We will move on to a service portal where a customer could create new service cases. Moving on to job costing. If you are doing job costing and you want to see your open jobs, process change requests, subcontractor management. And then the last but not least, the vendor onboarding, such that we can onboard a vendor and then have them go through a onboarding process, including capturing of like the W-9 electronically. All right, enough of the introduction. Let's go ahead and see what this means. Let me get out of the PowerPoint and start looking at portals. So all of my portals, I have several examples here, of course, that I'm going to take you through today. They're all, again, based on a Office 365 SharePoint page. The layout, the branding, and everything else is entirely up to you. This is using your Office 365 tenant, so you get to make and look and feel however you want. As far as that branding, if you think, mine is okay, then great. If you don't like the look and feel of it, that's absolutely fine. Microsoft does provide us templates to get started. So they have this site called the Lookbook, which is their inspiration for design ideas, which are probably, prettier and more design oriented than mine. I never claimed to be a designer, but you can see they have different layouts that you could choose from for getting started on a portal. So let's go back to my customer page. I have some various calls to action here, such as looking at sales orders, editing orders, things like that. I have the ability to manage my company information, update my profile. I have an integrated Power BI report, so I'm showing my resellers, in this case, a dashboard that is being filtered for that authenticated user. So this is only showing the information that is applicable to them, as well as a simple document library. So I'm sharing some contracts like a statement of work, a news feed, and then I've also integrated chat with this too, so they could chat directly from the portal with me if they so choose to do so. All of this, again, is using this Office 365 framework. What our app adds to the picture is if I click on any of this information, it is actually querying the underlying ERP system, filtering it for the authenticated user, and showing the information that is applicable to them. So this is a customer just looking at their orders as well as the statuses associated to them. Any of this information I could click into, look at the details, drill down, look at line items, look at the pricing, whatever it is that I want to share with them. And again, this is all just configurable. The portal is a platform for showing this data. The information that you choose to show is entirely up to you. If I want that customer to not only see these orders, but also generate a report on it, they could click this print button. And the print button is going to call the underlying ERP report and render it as a PDF in the portal. The reason we're rendering this as PDF is that it is, by nature of it, portable. They could do this on a mobile device. They could do it across browsers, and PDFs are virtually supported by any platform in this world. So if I don't want to distribute my orders to my customers anymore, or if they want to go print those at their leisure, they could go into here, click that button. We're calling a standard report that already exists. We're not reinventing it or creating a new one, and passing the parameter of the order such that it is rendered in real time in the portal. So that was a pretty simple one. That was just a read only, just looking at sales orders. If I want to get a little bit more sophisticated, if I want to allow my customers to edit details, again, that's just configuration. So you can see here, I have that same view of orders, but in this case, I've configured the capability for my customers to edit details. So maybe they want to come in here, do such things as change their ship to, maybe add line items, and go ahead and update those orders in a real-time fashion. Any updates could go directly to the ERP, or they could first go for a workflow and trigger a workflow for review and approval. Any of those interactions, and again, talking about the workflow capabilities, can trigger such things as emails. So as I start interacting with this portal, you will see that any of my updates, my sales order one has not come through yet, but you can look at a purchase order one. Oh, there it is. So here's the update that I just made to the sales order. I made a simple change to the ship to city, and you can see I received a notification that someone interacted with this data in the portal. So this is just an email showing me what they've changed, but if I wanted to do this more from a workflow or approval process, I could do that as well. That was editing it. If I want them to maybe submit documentation or upload some type of attachment, I could click on this submit button. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not on. I don't have that configured for sales orders. I'll show that later, but you could upload documentation as well, and I'll show you that in a second. The submission did kick off a workflow, so I will again get another notification here of a new sales order being submitted for review and approval. If I want to start enabling my users to create information, that gets a little bit more sophisticated in the integration with the ERP because we want to leverage the business logic. So by putting in some basic information here, we're calling that customer record in the underlying ERP and then defaulting all of the business logic that the ERP is providing us. In this case, all the sell to and ship to information came directly from the customer record. And if I want to add new line items directly to that, it's going to query my inventory items that are set up for that customer. And then I could go ahead and add those items directly to this order. So all of that is, of course, possible. Again, just a matter of configuration. Other details, maybe I want to manage my profile. So if people come and go from my organization, I want to specify those contacts and manage those through the portal. They could go into these contact records, update existing ones, as well as create new contacts that flow directly into my ERP's customer maintenance. Okay, enough with the customer portal. Let's take that same idea, same application, and we will go ahead and apply that to a vendor portal. Let's go ahead and open up this one, sorry. We'll go to this vendor portal. Similar look and feel, as opposed to sharing such things as sales orders, I'm gonna share such things as purchase orders. By clicking on this, I am querying those POs for this vendor. Maybe I wanna give them the ability to come in here and confirm it, acknowledge it, and update the delivery date associated to it. Probably not gonna give a vendor the ability to create a PO, but editing it, especially their side of it, such as the promise date, becomes applicable. Again, if I go to my email, I did get a notification of what was just changed. I could see they confirmed it as well as updated the expected delivery date. Going back to that, this is where I talked about the submit capability of them uploading documentation, so they could go ahead, add files, or submit any documentation associated to these purchase orders, or respond to RFQs. If I want to go ahead and print this, it's going to call the underlying PO as opposed to the sales order in my previous example, and then render that on the portal. Other capability, the ability for them to see their invoices, which ones are open, which ones are historical, payment status, even initiate such things as payment can occur on the portal. Search capability, maybe I want them to search records within my PO base and put in criteria here and search those as well. So all different options, again, depending on the window of the information that you want to share with those customers or vendors. Other examples of ERP data that would be applicable, if I take my supplier portal, in addition to purchase orders, I've also added inventory and production orders. By looking at the inventory in the system, I could share this with outside parties such as contract manufacturers or customers, such that they could get a real-time view of the stock and things like that. So again, maybe not applicable to you, but depending on the audience, if you're using contract manufacturers or third-party logistics, maybe I want to share that information with them in a real-time fashion. And then production orders is looking at production orders in the system. So I could share the status of those production orders, where they are in the overall routing of these production orders, the line items associated to it, and then print such things as percentage of completion reports. All various options. So all of this has been focused on sharing data, job costing. If you're using job costing, I could also do that same thing with job status and change orders. But moving upstream, like I mentioned, we have this platform. We could also use this for automating entire business processes. So the example I have here is the ability to request a new vendor and do a vendor onboarding. So I'm going to kick this off with a simple form here in which I'm going to invite myself such that I get the email to be a new vendor in our system. And that was just a simple Microsoft form, but what it's tied to is a workflow that is now going to trigger an email. And when I receive this email, it's actually pulling in with a DocuSign contract that my vendors can now fill out for the sake of onboarding. So you can see here, this vendor has been sent this. I did get a notification regarding the approval of it, but now the vendor has the capability to click on this and do whatever onboarding steps I want to capture for them are applicable to my business. So here I have a simple new vendor request form. They could go ahead and fill this out, put in their details. I'm not going to bore you with me typing in here, but I could select the type of corporation, put in my EIN number, and then more importantly, fill out the W-9. This W-9 will be captured electronically. I'm going to go ahead and require them to do a digital signature and then finish it. Upon finishing that, it will kick off an internal workflow for the review and approval of this new vendor request. So if I go to my email, I have a new vendor request that has been completed. I could link to this form such that I could see the details of what they completed because they have captured that W-9 electronically. And I could approve or reject it. The other thing that's nice about all of these approval tasks that are coming under Power Automate is they are fully integrated with the rest of the Microsoft platform. So if I'm using Teams within my organization as opposed to using email, I want to go ahead and look at this vendor request from Teams. If I open up Teams right here, you can see I have that same vendor request. Again, I could link to that completed form and approve or reject it directly from Teams. So again, depending on how your preferences, if your reviewers are more email-based, you could do it there, say this looks good. Or if you'd prefer to do it from Teams, you can most certainly do that same approval from Teams. Now in my sample workflow, when this is approved, it's going to kick off a couple other actions. One is it's going to invite the vendor to log on to the portal. So if I open up my little simple email here, and I didn't spend a ton of time branding it, but you can see I just received an invite saying you're now a vendor in our system. Click here to access the portal. And that of course would take them right back to the vendor portal so they could see their purchase orders. But it also directly created that vendor in the underlying ERP. So it sent them an invite and actually created the vendor record for me using the information that they filled out on the W-9. So that example was applicable to purchase orders, but we could use that same thing for customer contract renewals and things of that nature. So again, moving up the stream, if you will, the portal is at its very elementary standpoint there for collaboration, but in using this, I could also take an entire business process and automate it. So I know I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the slides here and just talk about some of the benefits of doing this. You know, for the most part, we're enabling self-service, and the hope is savings, right? By accessing this information when they want and having it in a real-time fashion, the hope is that I don't have internal employees spending their time responding to these requests or sending emails. So overall savings as well as increased efficiency. Other things, you know, improve relationships with my customers. We have seen it quite often where people want a portal because a customer is basically demanding it, saying, if you don't give me this information online, then I'm gonna go find someone else. So other things such as just collaboration as well as streamlining that process. Again, a lot of this I cannot take credit for inventing. We are using this Microsoft framework, and they have a fair amount of documentation, such as building portals, using SharePoint as an extranet. These links will be provided in the recording that we send out. So if you want to do some further reading, you can look at the Microsoft documentation as well as just information on our website. So that's all I had time for today. I know we're going through this pretty fast. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Richard to close this out. So I'll make you presenter, Richard, if you want to go ahead and take that and take it away.
Well, Michael, as you said, you really filled the bucket this morning. I thought that was very good. And folks, just so you know, all of those features that he showed you are all customizable. There are things that are for security issues that, you know, people get concerned about having too much information being seen by too many people. Those things can all be locked down with the appropriate security system that's built into the products, namely within DynamicPoint. Any CRM that you use has, you can lock things right down to the cell that you're filling out, and in things inside the ERP that you can eliminate users from actually even seeing it all. So fear not, security is there. And I trust that we shared enough with you today to intrigue you and interest you and see if there's anything that you would further like to know. That link at the bottom of the page will be sent out. That is to my calendar, and you can register for several different things, a quick conversation, a little bit deeper dive, and yeah, I really want to set up a full internal demo, and here's our bullet points that we want to cover. So we can do a lot of different things afterwards, but I first want to obviously thank you for today, and with that, shall I say, have a great day. Looks like we're coming in just under a minute on time. And again, folks, thank you very much for sharing your day with us. Be safe, and we look forward to hearing from you directly. But we will follow up with the slide deck as soon as it becomes available from GoToMeeting. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Michael, thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you, sir, and thank you very much for having us. Have a great day.
Oh, my pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure to work with pros.
Bye now.
Have a good one.